Hello and welcome to the Pop Pod. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Sam, also known as Pop Sam Cam. We are getting back onto schedule. I'm going to be giving you at least 2 episodes a week, sometimes 3, but you can always count on 2 episodes from me. And for this week's episode, I want to get into what we've got to look forward to for the rest of the year. Obviously, we've already had some big releases, but 2025 has been kind of spotty in terms of pop albums coming out. Last year we had so many blockbuster ones, and this year just doesn't feel like it's been the same as that. So what I want to do is I want to go through basically everything in the release schedule, talk about the albums that are coming, talk about what we can expect from them, and then talk about which ones I think are going to be the best of them. Before we get started, if you love this podcast, make sure you're following or subscribe to it. And also, if you could rate us 5 stars wherever you're listening to or watching it, that really helps with the visibility of the podcast, and I really appreciate it. And also, if you want to join the Discord, talk about pop music on the daily, I'll drop that below. They're the details for now. Let's get into the podcast for today. So the first thing I want to talk about just really briefly, which is away from what the actual subject of the podcast is just clarify a situation I was in last week. You might have seen it on my TikTok or anywhere that you watch me, that Alex Warren at his show posted a video, didn't post the video, had this video behind him when he entered the stage that was a bunch of creators talking negatively about his work. I saw it. Obviously, I was sent it by several people. I was featured in it, basically calling his music terrible. I initially was like, kind of funny. Like, I like that when you give criticism of people that you should be open to receive it back, which is exactly what I said in my video. But I also felt like it wasn't me to be that blunt with my criticisms of somebody. So I went back and checked the original video and found that my work had been edited, which is what I put up online and what went viral. Almost as soon as that video went live, Alex reached out to me personally on Instagram, told me that it was his team, He said that he had contracted somebody to do it, basically, and they'd obviously edited it. Now, I feel like on my TikTok, a lot of people are saying, why aren't you addressing this? And I guess the thing is, I don't really want to add fuel to the fire because Alex and I have spoken. We are good. I never for a second felt like Alex was in the editing room piecing these clips together. I never thought that. I always knew that it was going to be his team or a contractor. It didn't make me any less kind of like disappointed by the situation because I don't like having my words twisted, but it was never a personal attack on Alex, and I don't think it should be a personal attack on Alex. I think when the editing's been done so well, it would have been impossible for him watching those clips to know what was actually said. So that is like something I want to touch on. I don't really want to say anything more about the situation. I'm over it. I'm done. I would prefer not to have my words twisted in the future. And even anyway, I've said everything I need to say about hate train marketing. It's all in my initial TikTok video, but I just wanted to clear up that the situation's done. We can move on, and we can move on to what we have to look forward to for the rest of the year. So I'm just going to take you through basically what's coming out and we'll chat about them. So August 1 is our next sort of release date with major albums coming up. And the first one that's out is Renee Rapp's Bite Me. This is her second album. I've been super excited to hear this one because I really like Snow Angel, her first album, and I've been waiting to see what she would do with the second one. I felt like Snow Angel was quite emotionally dense. It was a very heavy record. She was touching on some pretty dark subjects at times, but it really showed me her lyricism and also how good of a vocalist she was. And with this one, it feels like she's switching it up a bit. She's ready to have some fun. There's some rock influences that are coming into it. Leave Me Alone, the first single, was really braggadocious and kind of punky and in your face, and I love that. She went with Mad for the second one. The third one, I think, Why Is She Still Here, it's called, really showcases her vocals. So I think she's done a good job at doing many different things and showing us that this album will be quite diverse. And it's one that I'm really excited for. Actually, of all these, it's one of the ones that I'm the most excited for. I'm also really excited for Amaare's Black Star, which comes out the following week on August 8th. If you heard her last album, Fountain Baby, I would imagine you'd be excited as I am, because she mixes so many different genres together. She's got this really intriguing, like almost off-centered voice that kind of makes you do a double take, and I love that. She started teasing this album at Coachella, a set that I was at and a set that I really enjoyed. It feels like it's going to be a lot more clubby than the last record, but it also feels like a very purposeful shout out to her home country of Ghana. You can obviously see that in the album cover for the record. So excited to hear what she has in store for this one. SMO, the first single, I really like. She's got another one coming out on Friday called Girly Pop, which I think will be really good, but this will be super interesting. A little switch up from that record coming out the same day is Ethel Cain's Willoughby Tucker, I'll Always Love You. This is obviously Ethel's second record, follows on from Preacher's Daughter, and also follows on from Perverts earlier in the year, which was an EP and was way more abstract and kind of almost like experimental in a way. There were almost no sort of defined pop songs. I know that Ethel doesn't really make pop, but like defined moments in that kind of like structural sense on that record. But it feels like with the first two singles from this album, Nettles and then Fuck Me Eyes, she is really in that kind of lane, mixing her elongated, lengthy kind of writing with something pop-centered that I almost wasn't expecting. When I heard Fuck Me Eyes for the first time and that synth pop sort of vibe that's going on there, I was blown away. I couldn't believe that she was going in this direction, but I love it for her. It feels like she's ambitious and she's really like exploring different tones and different methods to showcase her songwriting. Her songwriting has always been at the core of what she does. I mean, her lyricism, I should say. She's such a vivid storyteller. And we know that this one, Willoughby Tucker, will be a prequel to Preacher's Daughter in terms of the story, if you're following the story of Ethel Cain. If not, I'm sure you're just going to enjoy it, because once again, it's going to be a set of excellent songs, but I'm so excited to hear that one. The following week, we're getting Conan Gray's Wishbone. Conan is working once again with the producer Dan Nigro, who works with Olivia Rodrigo and also Chappell Roan, did a bit of work on the Lord record as well. He's always been a close collaborator of Conan, but they kind of like parted a little bit on his last record where he worked with Max Martin and went way more into 80s sounds. But the first two singles of this song and also Vodka Cranberry, show me that he's very much back in a singer-songwriter kind of lane, and honestly just killing it. Like, this is some of the best songwriting I've ever heard Conan engage in, like particularly Vodka Cranberry. I think that chorus just absolutely soars. It feels like he's more comfortable with himself and his story than ever, and that's coming through in really confident songwriting that just almost smacks you over the face immediately. The production's really organic, really sweeping, really almost like cinematic in a way as well, which I really appreciate. I just feel like Conan is hitting his stride at the perfect time. I've been seeing him perform some of these songs at festivals, watching the videos online, and he just, I don't know, it's a new Conan to me. I just feel like he's tapped into something really, really good, and I'm so excited for this one. I'm saying I'm excited for all of them, but I genuinely am. I think like there's some really interesting stuff happening for the end of the year. Next one is Laufey's A Matter of Time, coming out on August 22. I have been kind of interested in her work all the time. I think she is a fascinating artist, particularly for right now. To be making kind of contemporary jazz music almost is a genre that's almost been ignored in the mainstream, but I've seen it slip in a little bit over the past couple years, particularly with the influence of bossa nova, which we've seen people like Billie Eilish and even like Clairo tackle as well. And I think that her timing to come through with this sound has been kind of perfect. The first record, I mean, I must caveat this with like, this is not the usual music that I would kind of listen to, so I've had a difficult time coming on board with her in a personal sense, but I do appreciate what she's doing. But it feels like there's something a little bit more modern that's gone into the first two singles of this, particularly Silver Linings, which I really, really like. And I'm intrigued to hear how she's able to meld something more modern with the jazz sounds that she's been using throughout her career so far. I really just have a feeling about her, though, that she is going to be one of the sort of defining artists of this period of time in pop music. She's playing 2 nights at Madison Square Gardens, which is insane for somebody who's just on her second album. I'm just really excited to see where this one goes, and A Matter of Time is going to be a pivotal moment for her. Wolf Alice, also on August 22, with an album called The Clearing. I don't know if I talk about Wolf Alice enough on this podcast, but they have been one of my favorite bands for a while. I think that every record they release is so good, and I love how diverse they are. Like, they're able to do this really intense, focused, screamo almost rock song, and then do something that's much more indebted to the 70s and like singer-songwritery kind of stuff. And I think they really perfected that on their last album, Blue Weekend. And it feels like they're going to be doing an incredibly good job with The Clearing. Ellie, the lead singer, has stepped out from behind the guitar, and this album seems to be about her embracing her place as a front woman of a band, doing an incredible job at that. I saw them perform actually last night at the Troubadour in LA in a really small, intimate show, and she was just on fire, like really, really captivating. And I love how the music's matching that as well. Bloom Baby Bloom, which was the first single, had this really like outgoing 70s like glam rock flair to it. And then the next single, The Sofa, which could really end up being one of my favorite songs of the year, has a Fleetwood Mac vibe to it. But I think it's the lyrics that I'm really tapped into, this idea of just accepting this moment in your life where maybe things don't feel perfect and closed off in the right way, and they don't feel exactly like where you should be. But just sitting in the moment and just being okay with it, I think, is a beautiful theme for a song. Super excited to hear that one. Again, super excited to hear CMAT's the next one with Euro Country. That one comes out on August 29. If you're not familiar with CMAT, she is an Irish artist who has been slowly kind of gaining popularity over the past couple years, and is really gaining popularity at the moment with a few of her sounds that have gone viral on TikTok. You might have seen the I've been the baker, I've been the hunter, I've been the baker, like that little dance that goes with that. I think that everything that she's offered up from this album so far has been really, really intriguing. I think that she is a songwriter who is able to engage with people in a very different way. I've noticed that her fans already are quite hardcore in the way that they love her, and the way that they're always telling me to listen to the new CMAT song or react to CMAT, which I like to see, because it feels like there's momentum there. And I feel like it's because she really stands for something. These are songs that can be either very personal, also very political. She's also a really good cultural commentator, and she puts little tidbits into all of her songs. But on top of that, she's just a phenomenal writer. Euro Country, which is the title track of this record, which came out recently, has a incredible bridge. These songs are rousing in a way that matches the subject matter that she's talking about. And I feel like Euro Country is going to be an absolute breakthrough for her. There is a few albums coming out on August 29. It's going to be a big day. Blood Orange, Essex Honey. We haven't had an album from Blood Orange in, I want to say, half a decade. But he is coming through with this new record that gathers together a pretty impressive list of features, including Caroline Polachek and Lorde. Those two artists featured on the last single from the record, which was called Mind Loaded. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. I love how Blood Orange has a really distinct production style to his work, but he's also able to switch it up and kind of change it on each record. And this one in particular has quite a cinematic, cinematic, almost inward-looking tone to it. It's quite intimate compared to the other records that he's done, and I am really liking that. I also really like how he's using the features on this not to just be a voice over his song, but they kind of are used as instruments amongst the production, particularly the way that he was blending Lord and Mustafa and also Caroline Polachek's voice on Mind Loaded. Like, these are not traditional features in the way that you would expect a feature to be used. They are just part of the whole atmosphere of the album. I think that's really cool, and I think that's going to be something that's carried across this record. And then we have the big one from a commercial standpoint, Man's Best Friend. This is the new Sabrina Carpenter record that kind of was announced as a surprise to all of us. Obviously, Short and Sweet is only a year old, maybe not even a year old. It was huge for her. So many big songs of her: Espresso, Please, 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 Taste. But then you had Juno and also Busy Woman and also Bad Chem that took off as well. Just so many from it. And I felt like the lifeline of that, the life, oh God, why can't I remember the word? Life expectancy of this album could have been a lot longer. It could have had a lot longer tail than it did, but she's decided to capitalize on this momentum by releasing a new album, Manchild. The first single from it was a #1 hit, which I think says more about the popularity of Sabrina than it does about the song. But I think that Manchild is a bop and one that I really like. And I think that people were a little bit unfair with it initially. I think just because there was so much shock that she was releasing new material and a new album so quickly. Since then, we haven't heard anything of this record. I have no idea what to expect. Given that Jack Antonoff produced the first single, I'm expecting this to be heavy on the Jack Antonoff, and I'm okay with that. Jack hasn't done that much this year in terms of pop projects, so I think to see him on a blockbuster record like this one, I'm totally fine with. The next one coming out on September 5, the week after, is Big Thief's Double Infinity. This one's obviously a little bit more alternative than the things I usually talk about on this podcast, but Big Thief have had some of the most critically revered albums of the last decade, and I don't think that this one's going to be any different. I have absolutely loved the singles so far. There's such an intricacy to the production and so many levels to it, and Adrian Lenker's voice is always so piercing as well. But I don't know, it just feels like they've developed, maybe cleaned up their sound a little bit and still found a way to make it a little bit more complicated. And I'm excited to hear them explore that a little bit more over this record. It's only 9 songs, and I sometimes love a 9-song record that just gets it right across the whole board. Quite a different record that will come out the next week, September 12th. Jade's That Showbiz Baby. A lot of people have been waiting for the debut album from the Little Mix member for a while. And I think there's been some critiques here that this album has taken too long to come out, given how many singles it's had. But the single run has been pretty spectacular. From Angel of My Dreams, which was obviously an absolute slam dunk, up until Plastic Box, which is the most recent one. I really don't think she's put a foot wrong. I'm not sure how many songs this album has on it, but if we haven't heard maybe half or more of it, I'm expecting the quality to just remain what it has been, because everything she's done has been so perfect. She's done a number of festivals over the summer and I think has proved herself as a performer. The Glastonbury one that I watched in particular was really rousing, and I just love to see how she stepped into this new kind of job, I guess, as a main pop girl, while also showing the utmost respect to Little Mix and where she's come from. I think she's daring in what she's done. I think she's diverse in the sounds that she uses. And I think that she just shows that she is such a fan, first and foremost, of pop music. That is really cool to see. Cardi B, Am I the Drama, will come out the next week on September 19. I have no idea what to make of this record. It's incredibly lengthy. She's included WAP and Up on it, and also the new single Outside. Outside didn't have me super excited because it didn't show much progression for me in the Cardi B story, and obviously it's been 7 or 8 years since we got Invasion of Privacy, so I was hoping to see that she'd gone away and she's bringing new tricks to us. Still not sure whether that's going to happen, but she has a lot of this record still to roll out. And I just think that she's a personality too big to fail. Outside debut within the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100. So there's obviously a lot of public kind of love for Cardi out there, and she hasn't lost the hype over that many years, which is actually quite incredible. So I feel like this album could have tricks up its sleeve, and I am willing and open to hear them when it does come. Mariah Carey, another one who hasn't dropped an album in, I think, half a decade as well. On September 26th, coming through with Here for It All. She's just announced this. The first single, Type Dangerous, really intrigued me because I feel like it was kind of a return to form. I liked her pronunciation of the words on it. I loved that it had kind of a sassiness to it that only Mariah Carey could deliver. She has another single out on Friday. I think it's called Sugar Sweet or something of that vibe. And I feel like the tone of it sounds really classically Mariah Carey. The thing I was thinking about the other day is I really don't think Mariah Carey has put a foot wrong with any record she has released since the emancipation of Mimi. And I know that's maybe not an opinion that many people will hold, but I feel like she is just such a good curator and also producer and songwriter that every album has so many gems on it. And I mean, even E=MC², which people would probably consider to be a bit of a flop after the emancipation of Mimi, I've gone back to that album so many times, and it has so many like incredible R&B songs on it. I'm excited to hear Mariah Carey step back into that zone and kind of leave this Queen of Christmas thing behind just for now, because I think it almost turns her into like a caricature or a meme that she doesn't need to be, because she is one of the greatest artists of our time. And I feel like if this album is good, even though I don't know if she's going to have a commercial smash in terms of singles, I think just having like a critically acclaimed project that's also really loved by the fans is going to be enough just to remind us that Mariah Carey is a legend. Excited for that one. Then, quite a while later, Sudan Archives is coming through with the BPM. If you're not aware of her, she had an incredible album a couple years ago. She puts a lot into the pot genre-wise, but this one, the BPM, given the singles we've gotten so far, seem to be more kind of in the dance club lane where a lot of artists are heading right now, including Amaarae that we talked about earlier on in the podcast. So I'm ready to hear what she has up her sleeve on this album. She is an artist who has just proved herself so many times over the past couple of years that I just know that this is going to be good. Like, I don't even have to think too much about it. I know that it is going to be. And if you don't know her, I highly recommend that you get around her. Those are the releases that I've got in my schedule right now, but I'm interested to hear if there's anything that I've missed. Drop that in the comments or DM me with an album that I need to be listening to. But I think what it says is there is still a lot to be excited about in 2025, and it continues this trend of the most exciting releases being like not necessarily the blockbuster pop releases. They are more like, I don't know, almost alternative leaning kind of stuff that's not really hitting the charts, and that's fine with me. It's an exciting space to be in. I think that Sabrina Carpenter is obviously going to be the biggest album of all these ones that are released, but there could be some surprises in there. I think Conan's could be quite big. I think Ethel's could be quite big. Renee Rapp's, Cardi B's obviously could be as well. So we'll have to wait and see. But that is the podcast for today. I will be back with Bop or Flop with Jono tomorrow. Until then, if you want to like or subscribe to the podcast, if you're not already, do that and rate 5 stars. I will not bore you with any more of the admin. Thank you for joining. See you next time.